Hey everyone! If you're tuning into this, you're probably the kind of focused learner who really wants to dig deep and understand the root of complex human issues. Today, we've got an absolutely vital explainer for you. We're going to be breaking down a major presentation from the Rizal Development Center, the RDC. They've done some truly incredible research into the psychology behind destructive actions. Things like emotional instability, violence, and manipulation. Our goal today is to decode the early warning signs of these dangerous behaviors using a really clear visual roadmap. These are the subtle, everyday signals that affect individuals, families, and, honestly, entire communities long before any actual harm occurs. Right off the bat, I want you to take a look at this incredibly powerful opening quote from the source material. "The mind is a crime scene unseen, untold." Wow, it is just such a haunting but entirely accurate framing. Danger situations almost never just happen suddenly, right? They don't appear out of thin air. Instead, the seeds of destruction are planted in those unseen, untold spaces of the human mind, way before they ever manifest into violence, abuse, or criminal actions. It's a really urgent reminder that if we want to protect our communities, we literally have to look deeper. We have to be empathetic enough to read the signs that most people just walk right past. Okay, let's dive into this. To make sure we grasp all of these psychological red flags, we've structured our explainer into 5 key areas. First, the anatomy of dangerous behaviors. Second, instability and social isolation. Third, aggression, manipulation, and control. Fourth, youth and digital influence. And finally, awareness creates prevention. So, Section 1, Anatomy of Dangerous Behaviors. The foundational concept here is that destructive actions are not spontaneous. They grow slowly over time. So what exactly are we looking for? Well, a warning sign is a behavior, an emotional reaction, or a psychological pattern suggesting emotional instability or potential danger. Think of it literally like an iceberg. What we see above the water, the visible behaviors, that's just the tip. Underneath the surface, there is almost always a massive hidden block of emotional pain, insecurity, or trauma that's actually fueling those reactions. As the source material astutely points out, behavior always communicates something. If we map out how this actually escalates, it goes like this. It starts with Step 1, unseen emotional pain. Now, when that pain isn't addressed, it leaks out, leading to Step 2, ignored warning signs. This is where families might look the other way, or friends might dismiss it, saying, "Oh, they're just having a bad day." And communities basically stay silent. Because those signs are ignored, the behavior slowly grows until we hit Step 3, an uncontrollable situation. And eventually, that triggers Step 4, a destructive action. The whole point of understanding this chronology is that early intervention, stepping in at Step 2, completely breaks this chain before a situation becomes impossible to control. But before we go any further, we need to take a collective breath and remember one absolutely crucial point. Not every difficult person becomes dangerous. Not every angry person becomes violent. The goal of this explainer is to build your awareness, not to make you paranoid that every frustrated friend is suddenly a threat. What we're really looking for are repeated, deeply unhealthy patterns. Section 2, Instability and Social Isolation. Let's talk about emotional instability first. And look, we aren't talking about normal daily frustrations here. We are talking about extreme mood changes and highly impulsive reactions. It's when minor, everyday disagreements suddenly explode into massively aggressive conflicts. The emotional responses just become completely unpredictable. The RDC notes that in forensic psychology, this kind of extreme, frequent, and uncontrollable emotional instability very often previews impulsive crimes or destructive behavior, including domestic abuse. Communities need to pay very, very close attention when emotional reactions become this extreme. The second major warning sign is social isolation. On one side, you have healthy connection, which provides communication, support, and a real sense of belonging. On the flip side, social isolation breeds loneliness, deep resentment, and emotional dependency. When an individual slowly disconnects from their family, their school, their workplace, or just healthy social activities in general, their thinking can become heavily distorted. Now, isolation alone doesn't automatically mean danger, but when you combine long periods of emotional withdrawal with the anger and impulsivity we talked about just a moment ago, that significantly increases the risk of destructive behavior. Section 3, Aggression, Manipulation, and Control. Aggression almost always appears right before a dangerous escalation. But here's the thing. It doesn't always look the way we expect it to. When we hear the word aggression, we usually picture physical violence. But aggression can be verbal, like making threats or intimidating someone. It can be emotional, using guilt and fear as weapons. It can be psychological, relying on humiliation and mind games. And today, it is highly digital, taking the form of online harassment and bullying. Some individuals normalize this kind of aggressive conduct simply because they grew up around it. But make no mistake, if this normalized, non-physical aggression goes untreated, it can absolutely mutate into physical criminal behavior. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it reframes manipulation. Manipulative individuals constantly attempt to dominate emotions, decisions, and relationships. You'll see this in domestic violence situations, gangs, and even abusive friendships. But the source material makes a really profound distinction that we have to internalize. Control is not love, and manipulation is not protection. It is so crucial to remember that healthy relationships always respect freedom, boundaries, and emotional balance.
Section 4. Youth and Digital Influence.
I want you to think about the young people in your life for a second, and the digital spaces they inhabit. Young people have their own specific set of vulnerabilities. Communities should never, ever ignore sudden behavioral changes, a new fascination with violence, falling under gang or drug influence, or severe emotional withdrawal and hopelessness. Many kids struggle completely silently with identity, rejection, trauma, and immense social pressure. And if communities do not step up as positive guiding leaders for these kids, believe me, dangerous influences will gladly step in to replace them. And we cannot ignore where so much of this influence comes from today. Many individuals hide deep emotional pain right behind their screens. Social media dramatically increases comparison, anger, obsession, and bullying. While someone might be sitting perfectly quietly in their bedroom, dangerous behaviors can be deeply developing privately online. We have to connect the physical to the digital and realize that digital aggression is very real aggression. Unhealthy online environments can rapidly accelerate emotional instability. Section 5. Awareness creates prevention. So let's pivot here from identifying the problem to actually empowering ourselves with the solution. I want to read this quote from the source's core thesis, and I want you to really hear it. The goal of this program is not fear. The goal is awareness, education, prevention, and community protection. We aren't learning these warning signs to panic. We're learning them because understanding the signs of emotional pain, trauma, and anger is what allows us to respond effectively and early. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how we do that. It is a simple, proactive roadmap. Step 1, we recognize the emotional pain driving the behavior. Step 2, we communicate and support. Healthy communication and emotional intelligence matter immensely here. Communities become so much stronger when people actually feel heard, supported, and respected. When schools, parents, mentors, and leaders intervene with empathy at Step 2, we successfully reach Step 3, prevent harm. This is the whole crux of it. Prevention protects lives. So, I want to leave you with this lingering question to think about. If dangerous behaviors rarely appear overnight, if they are almost always the result of unseen pain and ignored signs, who in your community needs your support today? Take the structured lessons from this explainer, try to look past the visible tip of the iceberg, and pay real attention to the unseen warning signs in your own world. Because honestly, your awareness might just be the early intervention that changes someone's life.